Thanks for coming and hanging out in the basement with me today. Well, I traded projects with Rail Chief 74, and I traded him a acceptably working chassis for one of these things, and he traded me one that didn't work and needed a lot of work. And it's like, Jeremy, why would you do that? Well, that other one, I really wasn't going to use it much, and he needed a chassis that worked. And I basically showed him what worked and what didn't, and he was okay with that. And he traded me this guy. What we're going to do is we're going to do an evaluation on it, and we're going to see if we can get the motor running. And I do have some spare parts from those other chassis I bought, so let's see if we can get this thing working. And then in another video, I'm going to rewire it and see how we can do. Alright, so here we have it. Let's do a little quick overview and see what I got with it. Of course, we got the E-unit, which is very important if we want to go forward, neutral, and reverse. And this unit actually kind of looks like an aftermarket one, but we shall see how it works. I mean, just the way that this is just a different kind of finish on this metal, but regardless, the finger's look in okay condition, and yeah, so we should be good there. And let's see, we got what looks like a reproduction horn here, which, again, nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not real big on the horn, but if we can get her going, we'll get her going for sure. And then we got the motor itself. So we'll pull this apart and we'll take a look at everything, see how it works. But on the underside, what I noticed is we do not have a roller assembly. But luckily, I've got spare parts, and I looked and I have 2 rollers, so we can definitely get some power to this guy going, so that's good. So first off, let's get this motor apart. And see, it definitely looks a little unusual because these brushes are so far sunken down, and so is the armature. You can see the shaft is sitting way low in there. So I believe this chassis is how Rail Chief got it, so he did not work on it. And so I wanted to say thank you to him, says I'm really happy that I got this opportunity to swap parts and get something to work on. Alright, so these brushes do not look like particularly short. Aha! So we got some interesting things going on here. This armature is definitely sitting low, and we got a brass spacer here, which is interesting. We'll pull this guy out. Alright, good. Not sure how well you can see in here, but there's the mounting boss for the motor, so that's good. But there's a little secret in there. There's supposed to be a small BB that's in the bottom that supports the end of the motor here, and we'll see if that's in there indeed. But let's get this truck out of the chassis here, just to make things easier to clean. So if you watch my video on this guy, I really struggled with this, so we shall see how easy these come up. One thing I failed to mention in that other video with the Army switcher is they're called speed nuts. They actually have 4 tabs. They got a little one-way tab on each end that basically only allows you to push it down, not pull it back up. So I'm going to see how difficult this will be to remove this. This one is pushed down pretty far. Okay, we lucked out. Got one off already. Now, how difficult would the other one be to get off? Okay, we got a rip in one corner, which is okay. Just make it a little bit easier to remove. There we go. I might need to get a replacement one of these, or maybe I have one. Okay, get these parts off here. Good thing about not having wiring hooked up, makes it a lot easier to remove stuff. Now we got the bits and pieces here that are making it fun to remove. So, to get this off the rest of the way, I'm going to have to pull off the coupler. Okay, good. That didn't go flying too far. Alright. We are free. I don't think I lost anything. Got it all in my little bucket here. The truck... Okay, there we go. Probably had a bit of gunk in one of the gears, so now it's moving. Let's see how strong the magnet traction is. This one's really good. This one's better than this guy. So, yeah, magnet traction's working good. Now, let's see if we can figure out if this has the ball in the bottom here. I'm thinking it's missing it, considering how low that motor was sitting. No, I think that it's in there. I can see it in there. Very interesting. Here's my parts stash. This is from the repair job where I went through three auction lot chassis. This one has the good magnet traction, but the center gear is stripped out. This one has the bad magnet traction, but the center gear is good, and the chassis is pretty good. Okay, I just did some checking and measuring with another armature I have, and there's no differences in this armature. I didn't think there would be. But I decided to check its height again, and I found something interesting. At first glance, it doesn't look like it's riding low, but when you look at it on edge, like this, this is definitely below the top level. So, I feel the reason it is possibly is this piece here, which could be malformed or something. It does have a ball bearing in the bottom, but I'm going to do something silly. We'll see if we can toss a second one in and see what that does. I do not have... Yeah, I don't have another bottom plate there. We're just going to see what happens. Alright, let's see here. See if I can grab one. I picked these up off of McMaster Car. Alright, there's my tweezers. I knew I had one around here somewhere. So we'll put one of these guys in. Hopefully. We'll see if we can drop it in there. Carefully. Okay, around the edge. Alright. Now it might sit way too high. If it does, well, we'll figure something out. Get it to set right first. Okay. Well, you know what? Oh boy, look at that armature. You can see where that thing's been hitting the side right there. Shiny right there. Well, I would say that's at just about the right height. Well, it depends what it looks like when I get the... See, I think this is the one that came with it here. You're not supposed to have two ball bearings in there, but... Well, we got a little bit up and down movement with the armature. I can see it. So it's actually riding high right now. Very interesting. So I should probably try to get another one of these pieces. Get a used one or another one. Side frames are also flexing all over the place. Oh yeah, this is the one that went in it. Alright, let's put those brushes back in. See if we can get this sucker to run a little bit. Okay, here's our brushes. Alright, let's see here. Oh! I think our springs are pressed down pretty far. Like extra tension on them. Which is not good. But we can worry about that later. One reason why Lionel engines tend to run after being sit forever, whereas American Flyer won't, is the brushes are harder, in my opinion, and the spring tension's higher. Alright. And so even if it gets a little corroded, it'll just start working. Okay, let's try to hold this guy in position here. Beautiful. Okay, let's get a screw on. I think I only need one. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, look at that. Even though it's sitting high, that's got lots of movement in it. Lots. You can see it coming out the top there. Okay. Just for funsies, we'll rotate this around. Don't really need to. Get these in there. Alright. Fire up the transformer. Need to get the army switcher off here. Army engine, or whatever you want to call it. Put it back there. Oh, missile away. Alright, so we're going to hook this up without using a E-unit. The thing you got to remember is that this is a series motor. So we go from one side of the track through the field coil to a brush, and then out the other brush to the other side, to the other, like the center rail, let's say. So we should be able to get some movement out of it. Yeah, I mean, the traction is really good with this one. So, in this case, we'll go auto rail. And then we'll go one side of the field coil. The other side of the field coil is here. So we'll take that, drop and everything. Then we'll hook the other side of the field coil to one brush. And let's see, let's get up some voltage here, not that one. Put it up a little bit, please. That's fine. Okay, we got the track at 12 volts right now. Let's see here. There, and then the other brush will go to the center rail. It's moving. Now to reverse polarity, we reverse the brushes. We could reverse the field coil too. Alright, we got movement. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Now since we're not getting any voltage through the wheels here, we can just freehand it. Considering it's sitting a little high, it's working pretty good. Okay, so remember to reverse direction, we just swap the brushes around. This is what the E unit does. You can see that bearing on the bottom rotating. That's pretty crazy. There we go. We got a runner. Alrighty. Success! Got it running. So, what did that prove? Why did I even do that? Well, it proved that I've got a good armature, and then it also proved that I got a good field coil. Granted, I could have measured both at the multimeter, but this was kind of more fun just to work through the problem. And it's really a crap workaround to put 2 ball bearings in here to get it to raise up. But these things are such... like I like to say, there's a reason why Lionel changed the motor design. For those of you that don't know, this design here was a way to make products cheaper from the first switchers and Alcos and stuff. They had a much better motor in them. So Lionel came up with this design. Oh, there goes some brushes. So the whole problem with these is the fact that there's no bearing right underneath the motor. The bearing's at the very end. So this bottom plate here that's on here can move around, and that caused problems with either poor reverse or poor forward. One direction would not work very good. As you drop these things, the aluminum chassis gets bent and things get tweaked, and that's where the problems start. So Lionel did a reissue, or re-engineered these. They changed this plate so it had a bearing right on this surface right here, and worked way better. The engines that have that are still going strong even if they get dropped and whatnot. But we work with what we have at hand, and like I said, these are kind of fun to work on anyway. I like doing it. But now I'm going to clean this all up, and then we'll come back and we'll install it in the chassis and see how good it really runs. New plan. One thing I was observing on this is I believe the center portion is higher than the ends. So it's like exaggerated, like woo, like that. I think that's what I'm dealing with here. This thing just kind of appears really quite bent to me. And that could be causing our issue with the armature sitting so low. But regardless, this thing is really worn out. I mean, we got bushings that are worn out. The gear is good, but big glob of solder holding this top plate to here. These were not meant to be pulled apart. And I want to use this frame, because this is a good frame, a good running frame. It's pretty straight and was running good, but the problem with this one was no magnet traction. So we're going to swap out the magnet traction axle either with this one or maybe with this one, and then put it back together and see if we can get it to work. This is the original chassis, and these weren't too hard to pry off, but they weren't real easy. This is the chassis with the good magnet traction, and this was extremely hard to pull these off, just to get at the axles. And the rest of these have been smashed down. But if you look at these axles, somebody's been in here. This is like a punch mark, a rather hard punch mark on here. So I keep picking up these washers. And yeah, that's very tough. Somebody's really been after this axle a little bit. I see a punch mark on it. So this chassis has had a lot of work done on it. So in learning that these were a real pain to get off, I was really worried about this good chassis that I wanted to put a new axle in. And then I thought, well, it looks like the top plate might be easier to pull off than these side plates, and I'm correct. They're not swedged on nearly as much. There's not as much material there. So I'm just about to pull off the last one. I carefully chiseled the swedges back a little bit, or the metal back. We'll see if we can pop this last one off. There it goes. Except it kind of rehooked back here, but that's okay. Alright, yeah, that was a lot easier. But these ones are in good original condition. This thing hasn't been dropped and beat up in anything. So yeah, you can see why these are just so flimsy. Just all aluminum construction. But this gives me a good chance to try out a new tool. Oh, we have a broken wheel here. I knew that one of these wheels was loose on here. Let's see if we can wiggle it off. Nope. Okay. New tool time. Just got in this package not that long ago from PE Engineering. As I bought a wheel puller. Okay, I got a few things. I got wheel spacer for 0.27 gauge, which of course are the same. That's for inside diameter. So it's for when you're pressing wheels on so they don't get pressed in too far. This looks good. And here is the puller. Large gauge wheel puller with standard and special duty jaws. And I also bought a extra thin pin in here for different, because I like using tools for all kinds of stuff. And I might need to pull a gear off or something. So I bought this. They did not sponsor me or anything, but it's PE Design MANUF Manufacturing.com. And here's just some basic instructions here, which you can certainly read. But here's the tool. Put in your standard pin here. Just sits in there. And you adjust out your pieces. Now, these are the special duty jaws to get around if you've got an extra large gear like a Marx locomotive or something. So this is not as strong. But I won't be needing that for these. Let's try on the sacrificial one. This one's got the good magnet traction. Here's our original chassis. Let's try pulling this wheel off. It's the first time I've used this. We'll see how it goes. I kind of wish it had a finer screw, but that's okay. We don't need a lot of power here. Tighten up our pieces here. I don't really need a lot of power, so we're just going to do this kind of freehand. Kind of having trouble getting in here because we got the other gears in the way. So, since I'm having trouble with that gear, I'm going to put on one jaw. Where'd those other jaws go? This might be able to help me get close to that gear. Let's see, what size do we got? This is a really nice tool. I'm very impressed with their stuff so far, what I've seen on the website and whatnot. The idea is to get square here. I'll probably have to pull this top plate off to do it. Okay, I still can't really get around there. So, alright, I'm going to pull off this top plate and we'll give it another shot. Finally! Yeah, that was a lot easier to pull the top off, but this is how I learn, and that's why I learned on the ones that didn't matter too much, so by the time I got to the good one, we had a half a chance. Alright. So I got both heavy-duty jaws on. I'm sure this wheel has no chance. Alright, let's see here. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Get this centered here. This is definitely a nice design wheel puller. I'm quite happy with it. I definitely have 2 or 3 uses planned for it already, and this was not one of them. Look at that. Look at that. So easy. Oh, look at all that gunk behind here. Wow. That's nuts. Alright. So again, I'm trying it on this one first, just for a test. Which means I'll have to pull the top off the other one, but that's okay. Let's see what kind of stuff is behind here. This is why we clean out our locomotives. Look at all that. Wow. Lots of hair and carpet fiber. Alright. Oh, and there's our loosey-goosey bearing here. Now this one's been punched, like to hold it in place. So let's just for fun see if we can knock that punch piece out. Good test. Again, this is how you learn. Gotta try to get it centered here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm a little loose on one of them, but that's okay. Alright, look at that. That worked great. Okay, excellent. Wheels off. Everything's all nice and clean. Some of these gears, these must have been the older style one, because they only have one raised portion here, whereas all these other ones have a raised portion on each side. But everything cleaned up really good. This is the axle I'm going to use. It's got the strongest magnet traction, and I'm quite happy with that. And we'll probably just use this one for the other axle. But yeah, everything cleaned up really good, and this loose bearing, which was spinning in its plate here, just took my punch, and I did my best to kind of swedge it back into position here, stake it in, I should say. Kind of knocked a little bit of it, you know, distorted the metal a little bit. I just took a file and cleaned it up. So now this guy goes in here, spins real good. So I'm going to use, as Big Clive would say, the vice of knowledge, and press these wheels back on and see how it goes. Here's my little bench mount vise. It's got smooth jaws in it, and I just thought I'd show using the spacer block here. We're just going to put this in, and I got the splines all lined up. They've already been started, so I'm not really putting a lot of pressure on here. We'll just go till this gauge won't move, and then we should be at the correct amount, hopefully. Double check things over here. Yep, seem pretty equal. A little bit more. Keep double checking. Make sure we're not binding up on any one side. Actually, this other side's pretty tight, so. Alright, let's see here. Of course, it's always possible I'm not pressing it in exactly square. It happens. Or I got a bent wheel or something. Alright. That's how you do it. I might press them together just a little bit more, but so far I'm really happy with how it's working. Everything on the gear train is assembled. Looking good. Let's look at our wheels here. Got a little bit of wobble in this one, but I was able to straighten it out best I could. And I ran the gauge through. And grabs a little bit, but is what it is. And this one works good. So I'm confident that this is as good as it's going to get. Nice thing about this is we've got offset slots here, so this can only go one way, and the deep groove here is for the field coil. So that just fits in. The thing I don't like about this design is there's hardly any piece sticking up here to really hold it in place. Now I could epoxy this in, but I will do my best to stake it like they originally had. Maybe I'll just use this guy and just give her a few stakes and cross my fingers and hope and pray, and it should be good. Soft aluminum, so give this one another hit. That's good there. Okay, I'm going to call it good. We're still together. Alright, did a little test fitting, and with this setup, with this frame, one ball bearing is enough. But it still sits a little low, but there's nothing I can really do about it. Unless I were to modify it and get a different size ball bearing, but I don't feel like doing that with McMaster-Carr. So we are going to say I got 2 washers on here, which takes up most of the slack. Clean up our brushes a little bit. This is another brush plate I had. There's nothing wrong with this plate, I just don't want to clean it up too much. There's no reason. This one I've already opened up, so we can drop the brushes straight through the top. Alright, again, hit our wick here. Dirty, yucky wick on this one. Okay, so we're in, and we definitely got a little bit of room for the armature to move up and down. A little bit too much, but it is what it is. I might as well put this screw on. Well, we'll just put one screw on, and not the one at the field coil. Alrighty. Put our brushes in. Yeah, they sit a little low. So we'll bend that over and we'll push this locking tab back down. You don't want to move these too much because they are soft material and they'll eventually break. So I no longer bend those up. Okay. we'll have to see how this runs. Alright, and just like before, since this is a series motor, we start on one end of the field coil, put it to one side of the track, and we put the other side of the field coil to the brush, one brush. And then the other brush goes to the track. Let's see how it works. To the center rail. Beautiful. Now to reverse direction. We switch our brush leads around. Alright, let's run it for freehand, see how it works. Got some good arcing going on with that one brush, but that's okay. Oh, that's nice. Coast to a stop. That's very good. Swap our brushes around. So far, so good. That's on 13 volts. I'm quite happy with that. That is a win. I don't know how good it's going to work in the locomotive, but we'll have to try it out and see what it does. And our plate is a little loose here, so that could cause us some trouble. Engine's all power truck's all mounted in place. Everything's looking good there, but I really want to see this thing run under its own power, not tethered to some test leads. So we're going to pull the horn off because I need to get access to the front truck. And these are just held in by these twist tabs. Let's twist them straight. And this guy pops right off. Then we have access to the front truck. And luckily, I've got some rollers. Some spare rollers. Okay, wire's pretty good. Let me clean up these rollers real quick. This is the tool I use. It's got a little, this type of material on here. And instead of just going like this and getting this thing spinning super fast, we angle it so it doesn't spin very fast, and so the cleaning action works better. I just use low speed. That's already a lot better looking. Now, let's get this guy up in here. I want to say, I might have to look at my other one, but I want to say it's supposed to go up through the hole here. That makes sense to me. It's got some locating pegs. All right, we got to figure out what screw goes in there. Luckily, I got a pile of parts here, and we'll see what looks good. Not that one. Kind of thinking this big one. I should almost look on my other one. But it seems to me this might be right. Gosh, that looks a little large. Well, it's going in. I think that's going to be correct. Now we have a center roller pickup. And we can make this a one-direction locomotive for testing. So, we're going to go, our leads are going to get all tangled up here, but that's okay. Center roller, for now, to one leg of the field coil. Other leg of the field coil to one brush. And there goes all my screws and washers. Oh well. Finally, other brush to chassis ground. So we will use that. That should work. Oh, beautiful. Alright, let's hook up our wires so we don't snag anything here. That should hold. Let's pull off our other cars. Let's send this guy around the track. Well, it's working. See if it snags on anything. Not bad. We've got 12 volts and 1.2 amps. That's not bad. Okay. To reverse direction, just switch our brushes around. See what that does. Okay, we got 12 volts here. Snagging a little bit of stuff on the way. Definitely seems forward it's happier. Well, I must say it's running pretty good, and I'm actually going to end the video here because did a lot of work, got it running, and yeah, I feel that's a good natural point to stop at. Next video, we're going to replace all the wires on this guy and rewire it and hopefully wire up the horn correctly. We're going to be using a wiring diagram from the Lionel service manual to help guide us on that. So that should be fun. Hope you tune in for that one. Yeah, she's running good. And yeah, it's a little bulky at low speed, but these big chunky three-pole motors are like that. And especially these early ones like this. So, you know, it is what it is. It's fun anyway. I wanted to say thank you very much for watching, and as usual, I hope you check out the rest of the catalog. Give her some speed. Thanks for watching.